Hello everyone, welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is I Can Hear It Calling to Me. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. And if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. I can hear it calling to me. It sits in the recesses of my mind. In my dreams it is there, watching, waiting. Its silent echo reverberating in the dark corners of my consciousness. I have to write this. I must write this for my own sanity. To know I've not always been this way. Yes, I must record this, for I fear I will no longer be able to soon. Why here must I post this? I feel compelled to. The internet is limited here, patches and bursts of connectivity. Whatever has afflicted me is at odds with this feeling to send my message here. Why here? I need someone to read this though. I don't recall. You, perhaps. How to begin? To begin a story is to define it. To give it a beginning implies it had a start, which is something I cannot be sure of now. My name is Frank Wilson. I can be sure of this because my pass card has a picture and such a name on it. The company name of Renault is chipped from the card's use. I don't recall it anymore, how long I have been here on this oil rig. It has been a month, 10. I have no sense of time anymore. I know I was contacted to come out here for deep water drilling as a roughneck. It's strange how certain terms remain in the haze of the mind. I'm almost certain I had done this kind of work before. Or did I? Did I come here for some other reason? I simply cannot recall now. When I got here, I recall seeing the big painted words of Enterprise Depth for the first time. Yes, the name of the place. The place was far into the reach of the Pacific Ocean. I recall one of the drillers mentioning that we would be digging down deeper than anything I was used to previously. This meant strict crew controls and sleep schedules to monitor the casing and progress. We were not to interact with the other work teams, which was strange, but I didn't give much thought to it. I can't really recall now. Have you ever been on an anchored oil rig in the middle of the ocean? It is emptiness. It does not rock and sway like boats do. The horizon never moves. It's just there, static, in a land of nothingness. I recall staring out at the vast plains of churning blue ocean for a moment in despair before heading back inside. That feeling never went away. The other team members were a quiet bunch. To call rig work exhausting is an understatement, and I took the heavy bags under their eyes as a promise of what was to come for me when I first met them. They spoke little, and even during meals there was only what I can describe as a malaise over everyone. Trying to strike up conversation, I was rebuffed time and time again, receiving only guttural responses or short answers. One shift, I had found a scrap of paper, a form of sort, near my bunk. The name Charlie Sanders was often mentioned. The name, it rang some sort of bell in my mind. I asked my bunkmate Mike about it, and their eyes went wide. He pushed me against the wall forcefully. A burning intensity in his pupils made me feel like I was looking at a ghoul attempting to devour me. In no uncertain term, he called out, "Never, ever mention Charlie again." Dropping my collar, he walked away. One of the others on my team, Susan, waited for him to leave before walking over to me. In hushed tone, she whispered that Charlie had gone missing and I was in his replacement. Apparently, Charlie had been wandering around the rig, breaking protocol and speaking with the teams. Then one day, he was just gone, and the rest of the team was punished. If I knew what was good for me and the rest of the team, I'd drop the matter. How do you move on from a reaction like that? I know I was perplexed and apprehensive. I thought about bringing it up to the rig manager, but thought better of it. Some time went on, and I began to notice some strange instances. Time beginning to get fuzzy. I started a task, then I wouldn't recall finishing it, but there it was, done. My coworkers exhibited strange behaviors as well. I caught Suzanne mumbling to herself the phrase, "Get out, get out," over and over again. Mike would stare off the balcony of the rig into the depths below when we were not on shift. His eyes were glazed over, as if the depths called back to him. The other members of the team, Naya, kept making unknown signs and obscure hand gestures I did not recognize almost compulsively as she worked. For me, though, I began to be unable to dream, or at least that's what I thought. At night, I would close my eyes in my exhaustion from work. Darkness greeting me, and time would just pass. And yet, have you ever been asleep and not asleep? It's maddening. The other night, though, I reached out to the darkness in my mind, and instead of nothingness, I felt something there. It was a shadow in my mind, an inky blackness that had substance, and yet no form. It enveloped me. Starting at my feet, it coiled itself like a serpent around me in my mind. It was cold like the depths of the sea itself. Bit by bit, the inky tendril engulfed me, entering every pore of my skin. I wanted to run, to tear this darkness out of me, but it was inside. It is inside me now. I screamed in my bunk and my eyes shot open as I had hit the floor. My clothes were drenched with sweat. Perception was warped and dazed. I ran outside into the splashing mist of the sea, stopping only when I hit the railing outside. I heard calls from my teammates, but they were nothing but a buzz in my ear. The wind and sea searing my mind like needles, I was forced, compelled, to look down into the depths below the rig. The darkness was there. It was there. And it had called to me. I can't focus. I hear it calling to me as I write this. I hear it call to me as the ruler. I must submit to the ruler. The ruler dreams, and it must wake. It has always been here, and it must wake. I can hear it calling to me now, and it must awaken.